another man who will be at the press conference later this afternoon. This fight was just announced. Alexander Gustafsson versus Anthony Rumble Johnson, main event on Fox in Sweden, 30,000-seat arena, and that is January 24th. And right now, one of the top contenders in the light heavyweight division, Anthony Johnson, joins us on the phone from Las Vegas. Anthony, are you there?
What up, man? How are you?
I'm doing great. Do you use Glide, by the way?
No.
Oh, man, you're missing out. You're missing out. It's a great little app. Anyhow, congratulations on getting the fight. And you're in Las Vegas now for the press conference, right?
Yes, I am.
Is this, you know, I know it hasn't happened yet and it's fairly new, but is this bigger than anything you've done in your career? Do you sense that already? I mean, this is the second biggest show in UFC history, numbers wise, but how about for you? Does it feel like bigger than anything you've ever been a part of?
I'm not sure. I guess I have to wait until that moment comes. You know what I mean? So far, you know, the biggest moment has been when I came back into the UFC and defeated Phil. So hopefully I get that same feeling when I fight Gus.
What happened to your voice? Are you sick?
Yeah, man, I got a little cold. This weather keeps changing around here.
And they made you fly out to Vegas with a cold?
One day it's hot in Florida, and next day it's cold. The weather's crazy right now.
Well, okay, so I appreciate you stopping by even more so now. We have to be open. It was a point where we didn't think that you might get this fight. They were talking to your teammate Rashad. Were you ever nervous because of the suspension that you might not actually get the fight that you wanted? You wanted this fight for a while.
No, I wasn't nervous. I was just going to let everything, run its course. Really, where I was at the point where. I was at whatever happens, and, if Rashad would get the fight, I was going to be there to help him train and get ready for Gus and support him.
So obviously you're cleared, everything's good, but to even be associated with something like that, how difficult was this period for you? Because you had that suspended indefinitely label on you and all that stuff. You had to go through a process. Personally, how difficult was it?
It was depressing, really. It made me learn who to trust and who my real friends were. You know what I mean? And it's over with, and life goes on, and I still have a strong support system. The fans have been great. My family is stuck beside me. My teammates didn't turn their back on me. So I'm blessed, and I'm happy that I'm still here.
To me, just reading it, the thing was like, wow, you feel like a different person even talking to you and knowing you from just a media standpoint. I mean, you seem like in such a great place. You were always a pleasure to deal with upon your return to the UFC and whatnot. Did it feel like, wow, I finally got to this point. I worked my way all the way back, and for whatever reason, it's being taken away from me. Was that the hardest part to stomach in all of this?
Yeah. It really was, working so hard, like you said, and getting back to where I needed to be with my career and in life. And then something like this happened, it takes you for a spin, you know what I mean? But I didn't give up on myself, and I kept the positive attitude and kept moving forward.
Last thing on this topic, is there anything you can, say, shed some light on this? Just give us your side of the story, because we obviously haven't heard from you since this all came out.
No, I mean, there's nothing really to say. It's been dismissed, and that's all that matters. You know what I mean? Both parties went their own way. That's just the end of the story. I don't have any hard feelings towards her, and like I said, man, I'm just gonna stay positive, no matter what. So there's really nothing to say.
What was your reaction when you got the call that it was behind you and you're getting this fight on this stage, Fox, 30,000 seats, all that stuff? How did you react to it?
I didn't find out until after training, and Ryan Loco had told me. He was like, "Hey, you got to fight." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He was like, "Gus." I was like, "For real?" And he was like, "Yeah." So, I mean, it was exciting. And then whenever I got home, I cried.
Wow.
Because, yeah, I cried just because, with so much going on, and, me not giving up and still having faith and believing in myself and stuff like that. You know, it was just, I was emotional, man. You know, going through so much in somebody's career, and then, you know, you get one of the biggest opportunities of a lifetime, right? That comes right to you. You know what I mean? I don't know. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't do anything but cry.
Is that rare for you, or are you the crying type? You don't strike me as the crying type. So is this
I'm
unique?
not the crying type. I mean, I'm not afraid to cry, but
Sure.
I barely cry. It's got to be something that really hits my heart. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, that was one of those moments where I was like, you know, everything is going back as planned.
I'd imagine it must have felt like a weight lifted off your shoulder as well. Not only did you get the fight, but you can also kind of move on with your life. Because it came hand in hand, right?
That's really that. I think that's why I was really started crying. You know what I mean? I was just felt like a huge, you know, amount of weight lifted off of me. So I got emotional. I mean, nobody saw it. So you know what I mean? Don't even think somebody saw it. I had to do it behind closed doors.
Why? Why not? You could cry in front of others.
Yeah, man. Maybe if I, you know, reach my ultimate goal of winning a title or something, then I'll cry in front of everybody. But right now, I got to make sure I stay strong.
You also strike me as the kind of guy who appreciates this challenge. You know, you're not just fighting him in Las Vegas or whatever. You're going his territory. I mean, you're not going to be the most well-liked guy. That's obvious. He's from Sweden, and that's the reason why this fight is happening there. Does that kind of thing amp you up a little bit? Does that give you a little more motivation going into enemy territory?
Of course, of course. Gus is a hell of a fighter. I have the most respect for him. You know, he's a beast. You know, but going into his hometown, you know, his country, I really have to be on my A game and stay focused because, you know, right now I'm public enemy number one over there.
Are they making you go there for any media stuff as well?
Yeah, we go there, I think the end of the month.
Okay, wow, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I know you were asking for him for a while, and you know he finally accepted, and then you had to deal with the suspension stuff, and now the fight is obviously on. But was it something about Gus that you were really intrigued by, or was it just the place that he holds? He's obviously number one contender. You beat him, you become the number one contender.
It wasn't, to me. It wasn't about being number one contender. I just wanted to test myself and see how good I really am. You know, I fought Phil, I fought Nogueira, and I think at the time, it was still Cormier and Jones, and then I think Phil and Glover had already signed, and Rashad was injured. You know, so obviously I'm not ever going to fight him. So to me, the only person left that was in top 5 to fight was Gus. So to me it made sense to see if we can fight and just see who's the better fighter. You know what I mean? I just want to, like I said, I want to test myself and see how good I really am. Everybody else thinks I'm tough and good and stuff like that, but this is for me, not for anybody else. I want to see how tough I really am.
Considering where he's at right now, would you say he's the toughest guy you will have ever fought in your career?
Of course. Of course.
No question about it. Even tougher than Vitor back in the day, all those guys.
Tougher.
Wow. And what concerns you most about him?
I think it'd be tougher because both of us have evolved.
Yeah.
From what we were. Whenever I first saw him, fighting UFC, to the person he is now, he is a totally different fighter.
What concerns you most about him?
And
What concerns you most about him?
Nothing concerns me. Nothing concerns me. And from the fighter that I was 2 years ago whenever I fought at 170 or whatnot, and I'm not that same guy that I was then either. I'm a different fighter too. So to me, I think it's just a battle of course, who's the better fighter and who wants it the most. You know what I mean? And who's improved the most. So I think it's going to be fun. I'm sure we're going to make history. We're going to give the fans what they want to see. I'm ready to have a lot of fun with this.
This might sound like a silly question, but I feel like I have to ask. Have they told you outright that if you win this fight, you're the next in line for the title?
They haven't told me anything. If they have, I didn't pay attention to it.
That doesn't matter at this point?
No, not really. I'm just, like I said, I'm taking this fight just because I want to test myself.
But I mean, that's the ultimate goal, right? That's what you want.
The ultimate goal, of course, is to fight for the title, but that's not on my mind right now. I just have to focus on Gus. To me, this isn't a fight for the number one contender. This is a fight for me to see how good I am. That's it. That's all it is for me.
Who do you think wins, DC or Jones? And who do you want to win?
I don't care who wins. Both of them are great athletes. I want DC to win. He's come a long way to get where he is, and I think if DC won, it'll definitely shake things up.
I appreciate you saying that, because I feel like most people would say they want Jones to win just because he's the dominant champ and they want to beat the guy who was there for so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I never really go against the champ, and I'm not really going against John. It's just, I think DC has the potential to beat John, and of course, like I said, if he wins, he definitely will shake up the division.
I remember when we had you on the show, just what was it, like 6 or so weeks ago, and you said that you wanted to fight. You didn't like if they didn't give you Gus, that's okay. You wanted to fight in December. You wanted to be as active as possible. Have you, even though that you were on the sidelines, have you still remained active? Like if you were fighting in December, would you have been ready to fight?
No.
Why? Did you just take some time off?
Yeah, I took time off. Like I said, I was depressed, man. I wasn't really doing too much. I was still positive, but I still had my moments. You know what I mean? Ups and downs with this whole situation I was dealing with. But overall, I'm good.
You will be ready for the 24th of January.
Of course.
All right.
More than ready.
Well, I appreciate the time, Anthony. Thank you so much. It was really great to talk to you, and congratulations on the fight. Enjoy the press conference today, and of course, good luck on January 24th in Sweden. We'll see you out there.
Thank you so much.
All right, there he is, Anthony Rumble Johnson, stopping by. Give him props, honest with everything that's been going on, and depressed, and said he had to battle some emotions. But at the end of the day, as far as his civil hearing was concerned, he was cleared of all charges, and now his suspension is no more. He will be fighting Alexander Gustafsson. That is the fight that they wanted. And this is the stage that they wanted. It's going to be taking place in an arena for MMA. It seats 30,000 people, which the show in Toronto, UFC 129, did approximately 55,000 people. This will be 30, so obviously a little smaller, but nothing else in between. I mean, nothing's been bigger other than 129 than 30,000 seats. So that's a big deal. Also interesting is that, and I'm assuming the fighters will get used to it. So it's more, in my opinion, it's more of a big deal for the viewers and the media. But because this is a Fox show, and that will take place between 8 and 10 p.m. Eastern time, and it's going to be live on Fox, it's actually going to take place, I think they are 6 hours ahead. So that's going to be around 3:30 a.m. by the time this main event happened, maybe even a little earlier, give or take a few minutes. That's pretty intense stuff. Now, we saw that very recently. We saw that, less than 2 weeks ago, OSP and Shogun, they walked in at around 3:45 a.m. local time in Brazil. But that's a big deal. I mean, you gotta pay attention to that stuff. It's happened before. Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson in Japan, when that big upset happened, that happened at a very weird time. I think it was early in the morning Japan time, so that it can, air in prime time on a Saturday night here in the United States way back when. But that's pretty interesting stuff for a Fox show to come there. Obviously, it's a big deal. And also announced, in case you missed it, Dan Henderson versus Gegard Mousasi is the co-main event. Tarek Saffiedine versus Matt Brown has been discussed for that card, but thus far not made official. So we shall wait and see.